How deep is the ocean? How deep is the ocean? That's a song too, by the way. How deep is the ocean? At the beach, it's fun to splash and play in the ocean waves. Seashells sparkle in the sunlight. Seaweed gets tangled in your toes. You can watch your feet wiggling in the water as you wade out. Ankle deep, knee deep, waist deep. Look into the distance and there's ocean as far as you can see. You probably know that feeling of being at the Oregon beach. Ocean covers almost 3/4 of the earth, 3/4 of the earth. Near the shore, the water can be shallow enough for wading, but as you go farther out, it gets deeper and deeper. If you want to explore the deep water, you're going to need some scuba gear. You put on a waterproof mask so you can see underwater. You strap an air tank on your back for breathing and fins on your feet to help you swim faster. You dive down. The water is blue and lit by the sun above. You see fish and crabs, snails and clams, and so much more. Hoses bring air from your air tank to your mouthpiece. You are in the sunlight zone. All this colorful life depends on the plants of the sea. The seaweed that grows near shore and the tiny phytoplankton that float and swim in the open water. And here they talk about phytoplankton. Most phytoplankton are too small to see without a magnifying glass or microscope. You have diatoms, cyanobacteria, dinoflagellates, coccolithophores. Interesting names. Just like plants on land, sea plants use the energy of sunlight to make food. This process is called photosynthesis. Sea plants themselves are the food for countless kinds of sea animals. There's a lot of plants in the sunlight zone. Here's the depth chart. You can see where we're going. Right now we're in the sunlight zone. But look what's coming up. As you get lower and lower, it gets colder and colder, and the pressure becomes more intense. It would crush your body at the bottom. Even here, it would probably crush your body. You kick your fins and sweep deeper, about 100 feet, 30 meters down. You may notice it's getting darker. The sun looks like a lamp far overhead. At the beach, the water felt warm on your toes. Here, the water feels much colder. This far down, the pressure of the water on your body is getting uncomfortable, too. You're only 100 feet down, too. Water is much heavier than air. You can feel the water squeezing you. You feel it most in your ears and chest. Scuba divers rarely dive deeper than 130 feet or 40 meters. That's about as deep as a 12-story building is tall. Beyond that, the pressure becomes almost too great for humans. Expert divers use special equipment to swim down as far as 500 feet or 150 meters. At that depth, you will see hardly any plants. Phytoplankton struggle to live in this dim environment. With only a little sunlight, photosynthesis becomes almost impossible. With few plants to feed on, there are fewer fish and other animals. One thing that we learn, though, from reading more and more about the ocean is the ocean is largely unexplored. We don't necessarily know that there are less fish down there. We just haven't spent much time in the deeper waters. Because there's still a lot of life there, too. That's one of the ocean literacy principles. The ocean is largely unexplored. Now we're in the twilight zone. We keep going down. It's getting colder and darker. If you want to see what lives deeper than 500 feet, you'll have to climb aboard a submersible, like a submarine. It has strong metal sides to withstand high pressure. It's heated to keep you warm, and it carries air so you can breathe. Safe in your submersible, you dive down, down, down. Outside your window, you can see only inky darkness. Hardly any sunlight can reach this far through the water. You turn on your searchlight and scan for any sign of life. You spot a few jellyfish below 660 feet or 200 meters. So that's like 2 football fields straight down. Many animals have jelly-like bodies. Jelly animals are nearly invisible in dim light here. This helps them hide from enemies or sneak up on prey. So we see we have some moon jellyfish, ocean sunfish, pink helmet jellyfish, deep sea squid, glass octopus. Also, you can see a lot of these animals are starting to have bioluminescence, meaning they light up underwater when they want to. So now we're in the twilight zone. Some of the biggest animals in the world live down here too. Giant squid prowl the deep. They use their long tentacles to grab fish. A squid as long as a school bus looks pretty scary, but something even bigger hunts for them. The sperm whale, the largest predator in the world. The giant squid has the largest eyes of any animals on the planet. Those big eyes may help the squid spot its enemy in dim light. This sperm whale is about 50 feet long, more than twice as long as your submersible. Better dive down deeper where even whales do not go. And down here it says, a sperm whale sends out sound waves and listens for the echoes. That's how it finds its prey in the dark. Echolocation. That's what bats do too. So just think about you way down here and there's this battle between a giant squid and a sperm whale happening. Now we're going further down into the midnight zone. Almost 3,300 feet or 1,000 meters, just over half a mile down. There's no light at all. Before the first submersible was invented, scientists weren't sure if anything could live for long in such darkness. But now we know many types of creatures are at home here. Although there's no sunlight, there's animal light, or bioluminescence. There we go. All over the place. On land, fireflies and glowworms make their own light. Here, thousands of different types of fish, jellies, shrimp, octopuses, and other animals do. The animals just start looking really weird down here. The anglerfish. When night falls, many of them swim up toward the surface where there is more food. Some, like the lanternfish, turn on their lights to find their food. They turn off their lights to hide from enemies. So they control their lights. It's like a flashlight. You take your submersible down even farther. At around 2.5 miles deep, you see a muddy plain below you. You have reached the bottom. Scientists call it the abyss. So that's the abyssal zone, is the bottom of the ocean, where the ocean meets the land at the bottom. The deep ocean floor makes up more than half of the Earth's surface, but we know very little about this area. More people have traveled into outer space and have been down this far. At first it looks like there are no animals here, but look closely and you see tracks and trails everywhere. Brittle stars, sea urchins, and sea cucumbers crawl over the mud. They eat different tiny particles of dead plants and animals that have drifted down from above. You glide over the seafloor, scanning with your searchlight. There are many tracks, but only a few animals. Each animal wanders far to find enough food in the mud. So some animals that live at the bottom here are glowing sea cucumber, sea urchin, tripod fish, then you spot what looks like smoke rising from a chimney. You steer your submersible in that direction. When you get close, you see a group of giant tube worms around the chimney. The worms are white with red plumes on top. Some of them are more than 6 feet, 2 meters long. There are many others, so 6 feet, which is also 2 meters. There are many other animals crowded around them. This looks like an oasis in the desert. Where are they? What's up with all this chimney? There's a little tiny octopus. The smoking chimney is called a hydrothermal vent. In certain areas of the ocean floor, cold seawater seeps down through cracks. The water comes into contact with hot rock deep inside the earth. The water heats up quickly. Minerals from the rock combine with the water. The hot mineral-rich water shoots up through the cracks like water volcanoes. So the water is coming into contact with really hot rocks deep inside the earth. And then it shoots out super hot water. So the water is basically freezing down here, and yet you have these really hot vents too. The water can be black or white, and it billows up like smoke. The minerals in the water slowly settle out to build tall cones that look like chimneys. When scientists first discovered the animals living around hydrothermal vents, it was like discovering life on another planet. Scientists long thought that all life depended on light from the sun. Without it, there would be no photosynthesis. Without photosynthesis, there could be no food and no living things could survive. Yet here were animals living in total darkness without using even a scrap of food from above. How could they possibly do it? The two worms here shelter huge numbers of bacteria. The worms use their red plumes to soak up a special chemical called hydrogen sulfide from the hot seawater. This chemical would be deadly for most living things, but these strange bacteria thrive on it. They use its energy to make food the worms can live on. This process is called chemosynthesis. They soak up a special chemical called hydrogen sulfide from the hot seawater, and they like that chemical. Small shrimp-like animals like to eat the bacteria too. Many larger animals come to feed on the small animals. You see strange-looking fish, clams, snails, and crabs. Many look something like animals you're familiar with, but not quite. You've traveled more than 3.5 miles to get here, straight down. But you've seen many weird and wonderful sights. But there are even deeper, more mysterious places to see. What? Are you serious? The Hadal Zone. Crisscrossing the ocean are canyons so deep, they would make the Grand Canyon look tiny. The deepest of all is the Mariana Trench in the Western Pacific Ocean. It's over it's by the Mariana Islands, sort of in between Japan and Australia. Not too far from Vietnam, Papua New Guinea. Crisscrossing the ocean are canyons so deep. The deepest part of the Mariana Trench reaches down nearly 7 miles. So the deepest part of the ocean is the Mariana Trench. It goes 7 miles straight down. 7 miles to the bottom of the ocean. So now we know the answer. Are you ready to dive in? Only a few people have ever taken this journey. As you go, keep a sharp eye out for any signs of life. Scientists using deep sea cameras have filmed odd kinds of fish, shrimp, sea cucumbers, and more. Even in the deepest, darkest, coldest depths of the ocean, there's life. So the pressure is just getting more and more intense as you go down. No doubt there are many new life forms to be discovered here, but it's time to head home. You rise up from the darkest depths to the sparkling sunlit surface. It has been a long trip with many amazing sights along the way. Those who go down in submersibles never forget this strange and alien world, but it always feels good to come up into the sunlight again, back where there's air to breathe and the pressure is just right for humans.